Okay. Is your camera on now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our second to last DH Toolbox of the winter 2024 session. I'm Jada Watson. I'm coordinator of digital humanities at the University of Ottawa, and I'm so excited to be celebrating, unfortunately 1 week late, but it's never too late, how to create open educational resources. So I'm going to introduce our speakers and turn it over right away so that we can get to the presentation and also have time for Q&A at the end. And for those watching, we are recording and we will put this on our YouTube channel potentially right away. It will depend on how much editing I need to do if we have a power failure. So our first speaker is Mélanie Brunet, who's the Open Education Librarian at the University of Ottawa, where she raises awareness about textbook affordability and supports OER creation, adaptation, and adoption through training, consultations, grants, and services. She's been a member of the Canadian Association of Research Libraries Open Education Working Group since 2019, leading its Francophone task group. She co-edited the OER by Discipline Guide, University of Ottawa, a tool to help professors and students get acquainted with OER in their discipline. And with Mélanie today is Paul-Cezar Tanase. Paul travaille en tant que technicien à l'appui à l'apprentissage à la Bibliothèque de l'Université d'Ottawa. Il enseigne des sessions pour le développement des compétences de recherche. Il travaille étroitement avec Mélanie pour la promotion et le soutien des REL et de l'éducation ouverte à l'Université d'Ottawa et au-delà. Donc, je suis vraiment contente d'avoir nos collègues aujourd'hui, and I'll pass the screen over to Mélanie.
Merci, Jada. Donc, bienvenue tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, il s'agit d'une présentation bilingue sur la création de ressources éducatives libres. Et donc, on va débuter. Si je peux appuyer sur le bon bouton. Bon. So yes, we've been introduced, so this is what we look like. So we're going to get to the heart of the matter, which is what is an OER? What is an open educational resource? So two things to keep in mind. It's about resources that are free, but also that you can do things with them because they're free of certain copyright restrictions. So let's get into that in a bit more detail. So what is an open educational resource? So it is a learning object that's freely and openly available that can be reproduced, adapted, and distributed, often under the terms of a Creative Commons license. And I mentioned the 5 R's earlier. So the 5 R's are the 5 things that you can do because an open educational resource is not just free, but also open and therefore free of the usual copyright restrictions. So one thing that you can do is retain. So that means that you can save the resource. You can download it, you can save it, and you can also reuse it, meaning as often as you need, and anywhere you'd like. You can also revise the resource, meaning that you can adapt it. You can translate it, you can modify it. You can also remix it, which means that you can combine it with other open content, but also add your own and create a whole new resource. And you can also redistribute, meaning that you can share you can share this resource that you've created. You can share it widely. So those are the basics of open educational resources. Pour ceux qui travaillent du côté francophone, on parle de ressources éducatives libres ou de REL. Quand on pense aux ressources éducatives libres, on pense souvent à des choses qui sont on pense à des livres, par exemple, mais ça peut être beaucoup plus. On parle de modules en entier, on parle de cours, on parle de modèles 3D, d'études de cas, n'importe quoi qui peut être un objet d'apprentissage peut aussi être une ressource éducative libre, en autant qu'elle soit gratuite et disponible librement. La plupart des ressources éducatives libres vont être numériques, parce que ça facilite leur distribution, justement, et leur partage. Mais une ressource éducative libre pourrait être aussi imprimée dans le cas d'un texte, par exemple. So why would someone create and use open educational resources? Well, there are plenty of reasons. I've mentioned free already. So that's been a big factor in the whole movement behind open educational resources, especially in North America, where textbooks are very expensive. But there are other reasons. But to start, so open educational resources are free or low cost in the sense that if you want to print it, it will cost less than buying the resource itself. So it means that it's affordable for students and hopefully lessens the financial burden of higher education in our context anyways. But because they are open, it also means that they're customizable and adaptable with few restrictions. So that means that as an instructor, you can easily change things in an open educational resource, add your own material to it, have a resource that has examples and exercises that are actually representative of your students, of the context in which you're teaching and the context in which they're learning. So you can do all of that with very few restrictions. And or also in the context, for example, at the University of Ottawa, where it is officially bilingual. We know that a lot of resources are available in English, but they're not necessarily in French. Those few restrictions make it possible to translate those resources. Another thing to keep in mind is that open educational resources are very useful for remote access, but also continued access. And it's something that, of course, became especially important during the pandemic with when we had to pivot to online learning. So because everything is usually digital, when we're talking about open educational resources, they can be accessed remotely, but also unlike a commercial resource that you have to subscribe to, then in this case, you have continued access, I have access from day one of the course, but also you have access after. So there's no expiration date on access codes or things like that. And of course, that's important for students, but that's also important for instructors as well, because if you are an instructor, you may have adopted a commercial textbook that actually comes with slides, for examples, or other things that you can use as long as the textbook is adopted in your course. Once that textbook is no longer used, you're not supposed to keep using those slides that come with it. So with an OER, you don't have that problem. You're not locked in either. So it's not just students who benefit, but also you as an instructor. So that's another point. And in terms, the fourth point that I want to bring up is about success and completion. So open educational resources have been around for at least a decade now. And there have been research that has been done about outcomes for students who are using open educational resources in their courses. And what's been found is that open educational resources compared to commercial textbooks, for example, help students succeed just as well as the commercial textbook. So, and because there's less of a burden in terms of on their finances, it may actually help them complete their degree because they don't have to worry about, will they be having access to the textbook and will they be able to succeed in their class? And the last 2 points I'm going to go through in a bit more detail in the next slides, but creating an OER actually creates an opportunity and I'm going to use the word create again, to co-create with students. So to make it not as much about the instructor being the sage on the stage, but also that the students can actually contribute content and ideas and knowledge by creating a resource together. So I'll come back to that. But the other thing I want to mention is that creating an OER also makes it possible to cover topics and perspectives that would be neglected in commercial resources. So let's talk about that a bit more. Donc, en termes de co-création et de travaux renouvelables, c'est quelque chose qui revient souvent dans le domaine de l'éducation ouverte. On parle de pratiques éducatives ouvertes. C'est-à-dire que dans le cas de la co-création, c'est vraiment s'assurer ou aider les étudiants à vraiment être actifs, à être engagés dans leur apprentissage en leur donnant un moyen de pouvoir créer des connaissances qui non seulement se fait dans le contexte du cours, mais aussi dans le contexte de travaux renouvelables, c'est-à-dire on a tous eu l'expérience d'écrire des dissertations ou des choses qui, dans le fond, vont être lues par le professeur et c'est tout. Donc, ce n'est pas nécessairement quelque chose de très motivant. Ce n'est pas quelque chose qui est peut-être très utile non plus. Donc, il y a d'autres façons de faire les choses. Les travaux renouvelables, c'est-à-dire, on parle, par exemple, ça peut être une application, ça peut être un guide, ça peut être plein de choses qui, non seulement peut être utilisé dans d'autres cours par d'autres étudiants, mais aussi que la prochaine fois que le cours est offert, qu'on peut ajouter d'autres contenus. Donc, ça devient une ressource en développement ou en évolution. Donc, quand on parle de co-création, de travaux renouvelables, ce sont les gros concepts dont on parle. Je voulais vous parler brièvement de 3 exemples à l'Université d'Ottawa. Donc, je vais essayer de partager l'écran. Donc, le premier exemple, c'est un manuel sur les applications des technologies de l'information en gestion. Puis, je vous amène à l'annexe de ce manuel-là en particulier pour vous montrer que dans le cours, ce que la professeure avait demandé aux étudiants, c'était, tout le monde devait le faire, c'est faire une étude de cas et spécifiquement sur les médias sociaux et donc de créer des capsules. Donc, on travaillait en groupe. Puis les étudiants le savaient déjà au début du cours qu'ils avaient la possibilité de voir leur travail rendu public dans une ressource éducative libre. Et donc, on leur a expliqué les concepts, mais aussi pour qu'ils soient capables de donner leur consentement en termes de pouvoir publier en ligne sous une licence Creative Commons. Donc, ici, ce sont 2 des cas, de 2 compagnies différentes. Puis, vu que moi, j'aime le thé en particulier, je vais vous montrer le deuxième, qui était les médias sociaux de David C. Donc, ça, c'est un exemple. La prof est responsable du manuel comme tel, mais avec ses étudiants et étudiantes, il y a du contenu qui a été créé par des groupes d'étudiants. Donc, ça, c'est un exemple. Je vais essayer de retourner à ma présentation. Ah, c'était celle-là, juste à côté ici. C'est ça. OK. Donc, puis là, je vais vous en montrer une autre qui est un projet sur une plateforme qui s'appelle Omeka. Mais dans ce cas-ci, c'est un projet qui continue d'évoluer aussi. C'est entre l'Université d'Ottawa et l'Université Carleton. C'était un projet qui a pris forme durant la pandémie parce qu'il y avait un programme pour justement encourager la création de contenus ouverts pour des cours qui sont enseignés dans les 2 universités. Donc ici, c'est un projet qui porte sur le développement international et aussi les relations internationales. Donc, et chaque fois que le cours était enseigné à l'Université d'Ottawa et à l'Université Carleton, les étudiants, on leur a demandé de fournir du contenu, de créer encore aussi des capsules, euh, des vidéos, oups, il y a quelque chose qui ne connecte pas, mais bon, il y a des affaires il y avait aussi beaucoup des chronologies que je me souviens d'avoir vues et aussi faire un certain catalogage. On suggérait des items et on pouvait les décrire et les ajouter à une collection qui avait rapport avec le cours. Donc ça, c'est un autre exemple de co-création. Enfin, je vais vous montrer un autre exemple brièvement. C'est quelque chose que, dans ce cas-ci, j'ai participé. C'était dans un cours, une étude indépendante de 4e année à l'école de musique que j'ai supervisé pour une étudiante qui voulait faire un projet de recherche sur le droit d'auteur, particulièrement dans le cas de comme performance librarians. Donc, c'est quelque chose que je sais que l'étudiante ne s'attendait pas au début, mais quand je lui ai proposé que vraiment, vu qu'elle voulait s'intéresser à la question, puis qu'il n'y avait pas vraiment beaucoup de choses déjà disponibles, de pouvoir créer un guide qui serait utilisé par d'autres et qui pourrait être adapté, serait vraiment utile. Et l'étudiante a adoré l'idée. Donc, c'est devenu un guide qu'on a ajouté on a déposé dans notre dépôt institutionnel à l'Université d'Ottawa, donc qui est disponible en PDF, mais que tout le monde a accès. Donc, ça lui a permis d'apprendre au sujet du droit d'auteur, au sujet de son propre droit d'auteur aussi. Donc, l'autre point que je faisais au sujet de pourquoi créer des règles, c'était en termes de sujets de perspectives qui sont négligés dans les ressources commerciales. Puis, du côté francophone, ça arrive tellement souvent. On peut avoir comme des professeurs ou nous-mêmes, on aimerait qu'il existe quelque chose pour utiliser dans nos cours, mais ça n'existe pas parce que le marché commercial est trop petit, est trop limité. Les maisons d'édition ne vont pas pouvoir publier ça, donc il faut s'arranger nous-mêmes. Les ressources éducatives libres, c'est excellent dans ce contexte-là. Ça aide à venir combler ce manque-là. Donc, c'est vrai en termes de ressources pédagogiques en français, surtout en milieu ou en contexte francophone minoritaire, parce que les ressources en français sont encore plus rares, ou les ressources adaptées au contexte sont encore plus rares. Mais aussi, ça peut aussi être le cas pour les ressources en anglais ou des choses qui sont plus pointues, souvent au-delà des cours de première et deuxième année, parce que, je veux dire, l'idée au début, surtout des ressources éducatives libres, surtout du côté anglophone, c'était de créer des manuels, des alternatives aux manuels commerciaux dispendieux. Donc, c'est souvent dans les premières et deuxièmes années de cours qu'on a ces manuels-là. Donc, au-delà de ça, il n'y avait pas grand-chose. Donc, plus les sujets sont pointus, moins qu'il y a une chance qu'il existe du matériel. Donc, une ressource éducative libre est une opportunité de faire ça, de combler ce manque-là. Donc, si vous avez déjà créé vos propres notes de cours, votre propre course pack, comme on dit ici, ou d'autres notes que vous fournissez aux étudiants que vous avez écrites vous-même parce que vous n'avez pas trouvé le matériel commercial adapté, ben, dans le fond, vous avez commencé déjà à créer des ressources éducatives libres. Tout ce qui manque à ce point-ci, c'est de s'assurer qu'en termes de droit d'auteur, que tout est correct et que vous pouvez y ajouter une licence Creative Commons et vous pourriez distribuer vos créations comme des ressources éducatives libres. Donc, maintenant, je vais parler de la création de REL et je sais qu'il y a des gens en ligne qui vont vraiment reconnaître de quoi je parle. Donc, le parcours de création d'une REL. Ça, c'est vraiment inspiré du parcours suggéré par la Fabrique REL au Québec. Donc, on parle de 6 étapes, puis je vais aller un peu plus en détail dans les prochaines diapos. On parle premièrement, de déterminer c'est quoi le besoin. Ensuite, de faire sa recherche pour voir qu'est-ce qui existe déjà, mais aussi qu'est-ce qu'on peut utiliser. La conception, c'est la 3e étape. La 4e étape, le développement. La 5e étape, la validation de la REL. Et la 6e étape, sa diffusion. Donc, ça, c'est le parcours suggéré par la Fabrique REL. Mais il existe aussi d'autres cadres de création. Du côté anglophone, on voit plus 5 étapes plutôt que 6, mais on voit que ça s'entrecoupe. So we're talking about research, pre-production, design, development, and then the publication. So I'm going to follow the 6 steps. So the first one is a needs assessment. So basically, you need to ask yourself, what need or needs are you trying to address? Is it something that has to do with the audience? Is it something that has to do with the content? Is it the approach? So what gap are you trying to fill? So, because a big important thing about open educational resources is that you really shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. So, I mean, you could, but the fact that it's all out there means that, you can be a lot more efficient about this. So what is it that you're actually trying to do? And then you need also to determine what are the objectives or the objective of the resource you want to create, and what will be the learning outcomes for students using this. So what type of resource is it going to be? What format? Are you going to have any learning activities in there? Or is it delivering content, but not necessarily having any interaction? What's the need, and what are you trying to do? And also, how open are you going to make this? So I'm not going into details here about the different Creative Commons licenses, but there are 6 of them, and 2 of them that have a no derivative condition mean that they can't, whatever has a Creative Commons license that have a no derivative condition in it means that you can't modify it, which goes against the idea of the 5 R's that I talked about earlier. So, but the other 4 usually are applicable on an open educational resource. So, and the conditions are usually attribution, non-commercial, share alike in various combinations. So how open are you going to make your OER is something to think about from the beginning, because that will determine what content out there that already exists that is also under a Creative Commons license that you can use. So, because for example, if something has a Creative Commons license with some restrictions, when you're reusing something, you can't make it more open than it was originally, because you don't own the copyright. So even though you've been given permission more than the default copyright, you still can't just make it more open. You would have to ask for permission if you're going to use it in a way that goes beyond the conditions of the license. So how open do you want to make your OER in the end? If you want to have it the most open, then you're gonna have to select your material accordingly, and make sure that, is it protected by copyright? What's the deal? So you have to think about that from the beginning. And then the second step would be to do the research. So what is out there already? What already exists? So a good place to start, on the U Ottawa Library website, we do have a page about finding OERs, trouver des REL. So there are some tips there on how to do that, but also a list of repositories that you can search. And then as you're going through this, is the existing content as open as needed? Referring to what I was talking about earlier, depending on how open you're going to make your resource, the content that already exists, is it as open as you need it to be? You need to evaluate its quality, its accuracy, its completeness, to determine how you're gonna use it, if you're going to reuse it in your own OER. Or if also maybe what you want to do has already been done and therefore you don't have to do it again. So of course you should take really good notes, and in order to credit properly later on, some people like to use a table, like an Excel table, but you can also use Zotero, or any other bibliographic citation management system, but Zotero is free and open source, and so which we like. So you can use that as well. And you really need to start following up with permission requests if needed. So if there's something that's protected under copyright that you would like to include in your OER, then you really need to ask for permission. And also have a backup plan in case this permission doesn't come through. And you create your team. You can always try to create an OER by yourself, but depending how big it is, it's gonna get, a lot quick. So so surround yourself with people who have maybe some of the skills that you don't need, which might be in terms of mastering a particular application. So make sure that you have a team to work on your project. And then the third step is the design. So determine what is going to be remixed, what needs to be adapted, and what needs to actually be created from scratch. You need to scope the content and flesh out an outline. Keep in mind what the format is going to be. It's always recommended to have an OER that's available in multiple formats, in the sense that at least, can it be used offline? So does it have to be live online? Because not everyone has the same access to the internet. So that's something to keep in mind. But also if it is on a platform, it needs to be a publicly accessible platform. If you're just going to add it to your course management system or your link management system at your university, then that does not work because that's closed. So, so it might be free and open for your students, but not anyone else who's not in the class. And you also think about, are you going to be able to share the source files? And also think about accessibility, not just being able to download it, but if they're going to be videos, are they going to be captioned? They should be, etc. So making sure that they meet accessibility standards. And you need to select the tool or the tools that you're going to use to design your OER. So, and that usually goes from low, medium to high tech. So kind of like a low tech would be, I'm going to use Word or Google Docs or create a PDF. Medium tech can be something like what we're going to talk about soon, which is Pressbooks. So it's something that is, it's an online publishing platform, but it's very user-friendly. So it may not take too long for you to master it. So that's more medium tech. And then there's high tech that maybe, if you're in a field that doesn't use like LaTeX already, or like, I think like Jupyter Notebook or some other markup language that you don't use already, that's going to be high tech for you because you're going to have to learn that on top of creating the OER. Then it's recommended to have a 1 or 2 day sprint with your team to actually launch this design and have a prototype. So if it's possible to do that, then it's a great start. And then the fourth step is development. So you need to write, arrange, and revise the content. Make sure you followed up on your permissions if you needed them. You need to cite and credit properly. You're going to add your Creative Commons license, and you're obviously going to do some copy editing and formatting. And then verification or validation would be to pilot the resource with the target audience or audiences. Other ways to get feedback could be like a validation or verification sprint, having peer review, or having focus groups. And then determine, does your OER meet the original objectives? Then you make necessary corrections and modifications. You do a final accessibility check, final formatting check, and then you're ready to start disseminating your OER. So that means it's gonna be deposited or hosted somewhere. Then it's gonna be cataloged or indexed in various repositories. So for example, at the University of Ottawa, I do that for people who create OERs to make sure that they're findable. You're probably going to be sharing the source files as well. And you have to think about the metadata. So what are the subject keywords you want to see attached to this resource? And what discipline is it? What type of resource is it? These are all things that in some repositories you can actually search for and help people like refine their search. And then promote your OER. So it can be, listservs, like who are your people? Send it to, have a little blurb about it. And send it to people. And also so all listservs you're on, you can ask your library, you can ask people in your department to help you promote this OER. And for example, depending on what it's like in your province, in Ontario, you have Campus Ontario that can help you do that as well because they have an open library. So depending on what's available, you can always, say, please help me promote this. So, ça nous amène maintenant aux outils. Donc, je vais demander à Paul de prendre la relève qui va vous parler de Pressbooks et du Studio H5P.
Merci beaucoup, Mélanie. Je vais arranger mon podium un petit peu. All right. First of all, a few words about Pressbooks. Pressbooks is a very popular digital publishing format and platform that allows researchers to showcase their work with zero associated costs. Creating, adapting, featuring content in Pressbooks requires a very basic knowledge of word processing, basically. You will find during the demonstration that I'm about to do that the interface is extremely intuitive and user-friendly. In terms of what authors can publish, it can literally be almost anything: textbooks, guides, collected works, you name it. If you go on any of the repositories Melanie mentioned before, you will find like the whole gamut of these works. And on the screen you have examples of tutorials, examples of textbooks. I'm sure if you go to the repositories, you're gonna find quizzes. You're gonna find student books. Again, anything. Most importantly, for Ontario higher education institutions, eCampus Ontario offers free access to Pressbooks, and researchers, students, and staff can sign in using the institutional logging option. So my life hack to have easy access to Pressbooks is to use an Edge browser. In the case of the University of Ottawa, Edge is actually a Microsoft product, so you are already signed into the browser. And then once you have your credentials transferred to the browser, you can use the institutional login. I'm going to do a quick demo for the resource. I'm just going to switch to another tab. Right. So I prepared a mock-up book for the demonstration today, and I actually copied and pasted content into one of the chapters, and you can easily see that it is no different than creating and editing a Word document. You can delete text. You can actually add links here that will link to all kinds of resources. You know, it can be actually be a LibGuide, or this is the University of Ottawa the library homepage. This is another LibGuide. Here I'm actually linking to a tutorial about MLA. You can actually have as many chunks and many quantities of text. Of course, be mindful of the attention span of your readers, and make your text visually appealing. You do have the tools here in the ribbon, and again, they are no different from a Word document. So I invite you to, we're not going to go through each and every button, but I invite you to
Excuse-moi, Paul, on voit pas ton écran. Je pense que le partage d'écran n'a pas fonctionné. On voit seulement ta présentation PowerPoint en ce moment.
D'accord, merci de m'avoir avisé.
Désolée, je ne suis pas certaine.
Non, c'est très bienvenu, merci beaucoup. D'accord. Donc, pour l'amour de ne pas se répéter, je vais prendre les explications en français. Donc, quand je l'expliquais tout à l'heure en anglais, il s'agit tout simplement des fonctions qui sont propres à un logiciel qui fait le traitement de texte. Donc, vous avez ici dans le menu en haut, vous pouvez voir des fonctions qui sont très apparentées au logiciel Word. Mais, and now I'm gonna switch to English. The beauty of this tool is the fact that you can actually add media to your content. So previously, I did download a couple of things on my computer, which I will add through this add media button. I will add them to a local media, which is proper to this OER, to this book that I created. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go and unlock the files. So I'm going to upload a picture of purple flowers. It takes a little while. There we go. And from here, we have a couple of options. We can either use the media editor and insert it into the chapter right away, or as I was telling, you can actually go to the media library, which pertains to this particular book. I'm sorry, the connection is a little bit sluggish. And here you can actually do to this. You can turn it into a proper image that is existent in a book chapter. So you can have alternative text for people who have a need for alternatives, people with disabilities. You can change the title. You can add a caption. you can add a description. For lack of time, I invite you to go through these options and explore them. As I said, they're very user-friendly and it's actually fun. And yeah, there's obviously something sluggish with why don't I show you H5P and then I'm gonna come back to Pressbooks. So I'm gonna revert to the dashboard. Also, just as a final function, you can edit the book info. So if you have various collaborators, you can actually list them here. You can have reviewers. You can mention the names of the illustrators. You have the possibility of editing the forward and the cover of the book the way you like it. Oh yeah, thank you. So I had a question from Melanie. She actually suggested that I show what the book looks like. So you have two options. You can either go from the dashboard and you can say visit book. And then from here, you can click on read book. And you actually navigate the contents with this bar on the side. So this is the chapter that I was editing previously. It's a little bit of a hodgepodge because for the sake of including links and all kinds of highlighted text box, I put a lot of content there, and it's not necessarily edited. However, you can see that you have the same functions as you would have on a professional publishing tool, because you can add white spaces for your text. Here I put an asterisk. You can have footnotes added to your content, and I can assure you that I didn't spend a lot of time working on this text and editing it. It looks clean, and you're gonna have the same look just by either importing content or by simply typing it into the editor. I do recommend, because this is a server that you do not possess, that you have a backup copy of your content. Either you keep it in a Word document on your computer, or if you are more familiar with Google Docs, it's always a good idea to have backup, just in case something happens, or God forbid you forget to save something that you've been working for a couple of hours, or for the whole afternoon. Should I take the questions now or at the end? No questions? Okay.
You can absolutely open it for questions now. There's a comment with a link from Mélanie Brunet. C'est juste un lien vers les trucs de création de FEF. So if you wanna open that up, you can share that with the participants right there. The rest was a conversation that I was.
Okay. I hope the screen share is gonna.
Yeah, it's working.
It's working now? Okay. Donc, merci Marianne pour d'avoir partagé ces ressources. Pour être totalement franc avec vous, je les ignorais. Alors, ça fait, je suis très content qu'on est capable de partager des connaissances. Et merci, je vais le regarder de près suite à notre présentation. I'm going to continue with the H5P demo. I'm going to switch to my browser. And for the sake of keeping this nice and clean, I will not play around too much with it. So I'm going to show you like the I'm going to show you the what's behind the scenes a little bit, and then this is the final product. But first and foremost, what is H5P? Well, it's a plugin and it's a platform that allows users to create interactive content. And just as with the case of the OER that can be created in Pressbooks, the sky is the limit, because you can have quizzes, annotations, presentations, and even games. I'm not kidding you. If you go to the studio of H5P Studio of eCampus Ontario, you will find the games there that you can copy and adapt for your instruction needs. Of course, H5P is very popular in the world of academic and secondary schools, because this software is a great tool to create fun and engaging evaluations. I can guarantee you that the students will be engaged by your H5P evaluations. Another selling point, if it needs another selling point, it is very easy to integrate with Pressbooks and Brightspace. Although H5P is a very powerful and very useful tool, users, they don't actually need to have advanced coding knowledge, and you benefit of a lot of versatility using this platform. As I mentioned with the case of Pressbooks, the H5P interface is very user-friendly and intuitive. You will have a little bit of challenge, and I mean, I'm sharing from my own experience, because right now the catalog of the templates that are available on the platform sits at close to 60. So you will have a cornucopia, c'est l'embarras du choix, comme on dit en français, and you'll have a little bit of you have to spend a little bit of time figuring out the peculiarities of each activity. Here's another pro tip. Don't get overwhelmed and say, oh, which one should I choose? Which one is best? Start for instance with, drag the words into the correct boxes, or true and false questions. And then once you sort of master these two formats, which is not easy to achieve, you can graduate to more complex types. H5P Studio is made available to post-secondary institutions in Ontario. So this is courtesy again, a courtesy and free of charge. I should highlight. It's available through eCampus Ontario, and you have all kinds of support in terms of a catalog of free and reusable content. So if I go here into the interface, you can see that you can search the catalog, or you can go and reuse. I apologize. There seems to be, yeah. I'm gonna get rid of the downloads. There we go. So as I was telling you, these are things that I created. So another life hack would be, don't start from scratch. You can actually go and repurpose another activity that you had, or you can create one using an inspiration of the inspiration of one of your colleagues who created something similar, or I simply favor, so to say, quizzes which are either true or false, or fill in the blanks, or simply do whatever it is appropriate for you to gamify a little bit to engage your audience. In terms of creating an activity, I'm just gonna pick a subject which is random. I'm gonna pick English as language, and as I was telling you, you can actually create very easily a true or false question. I'm going to enter the title. And here, you can add feedback on the wrong answer. So in order to give your students a chance to get it right on their second try, if they got it wrong on the first, you can add a little hint. Okay, so they can actually check the rectitude of their answer. They get a gold star if they got it right. And then let's say they want they pick the wrong answer. When they check, they would get the hint. Of course, if they lose patience or anything like that, they can have the chance to click the button show solution. This is the plugin code that allows you to integrate the exercises to, for instance, your Pressbooks product. So all you need to do is to make sure that you get the HTML tags at the beginning and at the end. So you have to really make sure that you copy all the content, and you simply integrate this either in Pressbooks. It's very easy to integrate them into a LibGuide environment, Brightspace as well. And I guess that would be all that I wanted to show you today. Thank you for your patience, and I'll be happy to answer your questions at the end. I'm going to revert to the tab with the presentation.
So I just do a new share. No, this. Okay. Oops. Okay, so I think you're sharing the right one now.
Yes.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so juste pour passer à travers rapidement, donc les exemples de livres qu'il y a ici, en fait, à la fin des diapos. Les diapos, je vais les partager avec vous. Donc, il y a la liste de tous les livres, vous pouvez aller les voir, en fait. Donc, on parlait de Pressbooks. Ça, c'est aussi une des previews de quoi ça ressemble. On parlait de H5P. Il y a aussi une liste à la fin de mes diapos, ou de nos diapos, avec les liens vers ces exemples-là. Donc, la dernière chose que j'aimerais souligner, c'est le soutien qui est disponible à la Bibliothèque de l'Université d'Ottawa pour les ressources éducatives. Donc, à la bibliothèque, on peut vous aider à trouver des ressources éducatives libres qui existent déjà et aussi du contenu libre pour créer de nouvelles ressources éducatives libres. Aussi, on a de l'information pour vous aider à naviguer le droit d'auteur et les licences Creative Commons. On offre aussi des formations Pressbooks, c'est aussi sur le Studio H5P et on aide aussi, on aide à vous dépanner. Bien que dans le cas de Pressbooks et du Studio H5P, vu que c'est les instances d'e-Campus Ontario, on peut aussi demander à e-Campus Ontario pour de l'aide. On vous aide aussi avec l'hébergement, le dépôt, le catalogage de votre ressource pour en assurer la découverte. Et depuis 2020, on offre la subvention REL de la bibliothèque. Donc, les montants ont changé au cours des années et le nombre de subventions aussi. Celle de 2024 vient juste de se terminer. Les résultats vont être dévoilés la semaine prochaine. Donc, on va avoir nos récipiendaires de cette année. Ça va être annoncé sur la page web de la bibliothèque, mais aussi sur Twitter. Donc, si vous êtes curieux de savoir qui a gagné une subvention cette année, vous allez l'apprendre bientôt. Donc, vendredi, le 22 mars. L'année dernière, on avait, je pense qu'on a 10 subventions l'année passée, l'année d'avant, 8. Donc, ça augmente chaque année. Puis, ce sont des subventions qui, soit pour l'adaptation ou la création d'une ressource éducative libre. Donc, ça met fin à notre présentation. Donc, merci beaucoup. Merci de vous être joints à nous aujourd'hui. Juste pour vous donner une idée, on a aussi des ressources qu'on vous suggère, dont la première qui est comment attribuer du contenu sous licence Creative Commons, parce que des fois, on ne sait pas trop comment ou c'est quoi l'information qui devrait être là. Donc, on a un guide à ce sujet, enfin un guide en français et en anglais. La deuxième ressource d'e-Campus Ontario, je vous la recommande fortement parce que, ben, j'ai participé, mais aussi parce que je pense que c'est une bonne introduction. Puis, en fait, tantôt, quand Paul parlait de H5P, puis comment déterminer quelle activité que je devrais choisir, il y en a comme 50 là, bon. Dans ce guide-là, dans Maîtriser l'éducation ouverte, et sa version en anglais, dans le module au sujet de H5P, on parle de il y a un tableau qui montre bien quelles sont les activités qui demandent plus d'efforts de votre part en termes de création. Donc, ça peut vous aider à déterminer est-ce que vous avez le temps de créer quelque chose de très avancé ou pas, mais aussi quel type d'activité va avec quel objectif que vous avez pour vos étudiants, qu'est-ce que vous essayez comment vous voulez qu'ils apprennent. Donc, ça, ces deux tableaux-là peuvent vous aider à déterminer comment choisir une activité H5P qui est peut-être plus appropriée. Oui. Oui.
Est-ce que tu peux mettre le premier lien dans le chat? Je pense que ce sont des liens pour l'achat.
Ah oui, OK. OK, oui, je vais essayer.
I would do it for us all.
Oups! sais pas pourquoi ça dit
Oh,
not
so we
found.
broke.
No! No! How is that possible? No, it's not as Googleable as I would like it to be. But maybe it's just the wrong thing that I have in there. Okay, this is not supposed to be happening, but okay. So I'm so sorry.
Maybe we'll fix them.
Because yeah,
And
I'm really sorry. I apologize.
I'll see if I can.
Because I know there used to be on the copyright website, the U Ottawa copyright website. There is an online version of this that looks kind of wonky, but you will find it on the U of O copyright website as well. That's okay. So yeah, so those are the things I recommend. If you want to know more about non-disposable assignments, there's a nice blog post about that. And if you want to know more about co-creation, how to create something with your students, in this case, an open textbook, then the Rebus community has a really great guide for that. Ah, okay. And then, yeah, so those are all our attributions, but also this is the list of all those Pressbooks, textbooks that we were talking about. So you can follow those links. Like I said, I will share the slides so you'll have clickable links. I think I will actually put my slides in our institutional repository. So then it'll be easier to find there. So it's UO Research. So look for it in the next few days. Okay, so that's it. So are there any other questions? Est-ce qu'il y a des questions, des commentaires? Il nous reste un peu de temps. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Links to the Creative Commons
No.
page. I found the reference to it.
Okay, so
but
I'm
then
going
when
to stop
I click
sharing.
on the link, that's what I can see.
Okay, so no, but let me, because now I'm no longer sharing my screen, so you don't have to see me like struggling.
But we get to watch your face. Like.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess I'll open one more tab on your thing.
It's never gonna go up. Man.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So, because I can add, I'll find it and I'll add the link.
In real time.
Yeah. So, Creative Commons and open access, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yes, it's at the bottom.
And that
I
see the reference, but
Yeah.
it links to the license type. I just threw it in the chat and I realized afterward that.
Oh, yeah. So the whole thing at the bottom is like, because it applies to the guide.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's just returns you to the license.
Yes.
So it's going to the right place.
Oh, okay.
But
But not quite.
yeah, so it's coming. Can't see me
Oh,
struggling.
that whole thing is what it is.
Ugh, yes. Sorry. Yeah. Yes, so that's why I was like, it's kind of
But
wonky.
I
It's
didn't-
huge, but it's not, it shouldn't be that huge. So let me add this to the chat now. We'll get there. Okay, so that's the English version of the CC attribution guide. Is that what it's supposed to do? Why did it give me that link? Just wanted to do a copy and paste. Okay, well, let's see if that works. Okay.
Yeah, that works.
Yes, okay. Then you can click, tu peux cliquer sur FR dans le coin en haut à droite. Ça va vous amener à la version en français. Donc, ça, c'est la version HTML, mais le lien qui... Là, je vais vérifier s'il fonctionne quand je vais retourner à mon bureau avant de mettre mes diapos sur, dans notre dépôt institutionnel. C'était une version PDF. Puis, je voulais prendre le temps, moi, de remercier Marianne d'avoir partagé le lien vers les trousses de création de la fabrique que j'ai regardé pendant que je créais ma présentation. Mais c'est vraiment bien fait. Si vous ne connaissez pas la Fabriquerelle, allez voir la Fabriquerelle. Donc, c'est fabriquerelle.org. Donc, allez voir la Fabriquerelle. Ils ont beaucoup de choses. Aussi, c'est un des endroits où on peut trouver toute cette information-là en français, qui est comme assez rare. Donc, ils font vraiment du bon travail. Donc, je vous encourage fortement à aller voir leur site web. Ils ont aussi leur modèle de création est peut-être un peu différent de comment on fonctionne officiellement ailleurs, mais vraiment l'idée d'avoir les fameux binômes chaque projet a un conseiller pédagogique et un ou une bibliothécaire. Donc, c'est pour accompagner les créateurs de REL, puis c'est vraiment bien fait. Si vous n'avez pas eu l'occasion encore de participer à la vitrine REL, on avait la partie 1 la semaine passée, mais on a la partie 2 ce jeudi. Et il va y avoir des projets de la Fabrique REL qui vont être présentés. Et aussi, la semaine prochaine, on a décidé de faire 3 parties. Le 20, c'est la partie 3 et encore d'autres projets de la Fabrique REL, mais aussi de l'Université d'Ottawa. Donc, puis là, je vais vous trouver le lien de l'activité. Comme ça, vous pouvez vous connecter. C'est gratuit, c'est en ligne. Oui, merci beaucoup. Donc, le lien qui est ajouté par Marianne vers les webinaires de la Fabrique REL inclut la vitrine REL de ce mois-ci. Donc, on vous invite à participer. Vous allez découvrir de nouvelles ressources éducatives en français ou bilingue. Fait qu'on a été capable de répondre à toutes les questions. Oh, nouveau message. Ah, merci pour la présentation d'aujourd'hui. Merci beaucoup à vous d'avoir pris le temps de vous connecter et de passer du temps avec nous à parler de ressources éducatives. Je vais laisser la parole à Jada pour terminer.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Because there were no tech glitches today, we could probably get this video up on our YouTube channel pretty quickly. And I'll make sure to share that link with Mélanie. And so if there's a way for you to share it within your network too, we can do that, because I'm not sure that everybody found this workshop via our website. So as soon as it's up on YouTube, I'll make sure that everyone has access to it. Like I said, this is our second last, so we meet again virtually and in person on March 26th. For me, I'm giving a presentation for the first time ever. I usually don't deliver toolboxes myself, but if anyone's interested in learning about research on representation on radio and the impact that has on listeners, join us again. So I'll be talking about CanCon legislation and Canadian country radio. And maybe I'll be sharing, we'll see how saucy I get. I may share a few results on other formats in Canada too, on a study that I'm working on that will be released in July. Yeah, so thank you so much, online, in person, for joining us. We'll see you again soon. And a big thank you to Mélanie and Paul for coming in and sharing all of this wisdom with us, and thinking about the various ways in which we can build open and accessible resources in both languages. So merci à tout le monde, merci à vous, et bonne journée. See my awkward face.